I know that we've been taught from all the gurus out there. You put a newsletter subscription on the bottom of your post, you collect people's name and email, and then you send them stuff, you put links in it, they click those links, you add tags, and you're tracking what they're doing, and then you can adjust their experience. But what if you wanted to adjust people's experience without knowing who they are? What if they could stay anonymous, but their clickstream is what allows you to give them a better experience? I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, this is not chrislemon.com. It's .org. It's a playground where I'm messing with stuff, but it looks mostly the same, right? And what I'm going to do is introduce you to a product called Bento. You can find it at bentonow.com. And at Bento Now, what you're going to see is a whole bunch of people who are not, they're not named. They're not identified. I mean, let's be clear. Who doesn't want the name Empty Glitter 2238? But it's just a person navigating through the site. It is not, I don't know their first name, their last name, anything. Now over here, you're going to see I have identified myself. And when I look at that record, not only do I have a bunch of tracking of what's happening because I put a little line of JavaScript in here, but you're going to see some custom fields, num membership posts, num e-commerce posts. I bet you can guess what those are, but I'm going to tell you. And then you're going to see some tags, right? So what's going on? Well, what I've done is I've said, hey, I want to introduce a counter, right? A counter that says, we'll take a look at this counter in here, right? Every time they view a post that has membership in the URL, right? I want you to think about that. That's the trigger for then the activity, which is I want you to increase this field, right? It's a counter, right? And so I just want you, every time someone views it, add 1, right? That's what a counter does. And you go, that's great. I do that for membership posts and e-commerce posts. E-commerce could be with e-commerce in the title. It could be with WooCommerce in the title. But in either case, that's the increment. Then I monitor that number for, hey, what's the count? So if the count is greater than 5, I want you to add membership interest as a tag. If not, just close it down. And you go, okay, I get that. So I have that for both membership and e-commerce. Now, what happens if customers are looking at both, right? So then I have the primary interest, right? And the primary interest says, hey, when someone opens up a post or looks at a post, I want you to check to see whether the number of memberships posts is greater than the number of e-commerce posts. And predicated on that, I want you to do something. Either add the tag primary interest membership and remove primary interest e-commerce, or introduce primary interest e-commerce and take away primary interest membership. So basically flip-flop this stuff. They have fancier ways to do this, but this is the dynamic, right? So these are automations, and they're happening without anyone knowing anything, right? And then I can come over to their customizations. If you've worked with any personalization tools out there, like WriteMessage or others, this is all very familiar to you. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to look for some conditions, and that's when the ding happens. I'm going to look for conditions. Well, I've just set all these automations to create those conditions, to set variables, to tell me a tag like primary interest. And then I can do this so that I say, hey, if they have an interest in memberships, not that it's their primary interest, but if they have an interest, then what I can do when I go into any post is I can add a sidebar that says, hey, are you looking for a membership plugin? Now, if you've never looked at any of my membership posts, you don't see that ad, right? But if you have looked at more than 5 and you have that tag, then I can present this for you, right? That's what this guy does right here, present a membership sidebar. On the flip side, right, it says, hey, if your primary interest, right, is WooCommerce, then change the homepage. Now, right now, if I go to the homepage, my primary interest is membership, right? That's why you say you want to build a WordPress business. But what if I made it e-commerce? Then this would change to WooCommerce business. So let's go over here. And in here, I'm going to look for an e-commerce oriented post. This one's e-commerce for sure, right? And I'll click on this e-commerce category and come take a look at another post and take a look at another post. What should happen is I should be incrementing this count on how many e-commerce posts I've looked at. And as I do that, I can come back into here and refresh this guy. And down over here, what does the primary interest say now? primary interest says e-commerce. I know that because if I take a look at the workflows, I will see these things were added. And by the way, the primary interest tag happened, right? It triggered and said, oop, this one's bigger than this. And so when that happens and I come back out here, it says want to build a WooCommerce business, right? I also made a little tweak so I could change the color. I can help, right? So and I haven't scratched the surface of what Bento can do. I just wanted to highlight that I can make my website present contextual ads, change the content, do tons of things predicated on what I know about you from your clickstream without changing your anonymous nature. I don't have to have you subscribe. Now, if you're subscribed and I know you, there's tons more I can do. But think about how this plays out in e-commerce, on your cart, on your checkout, on your blog post, at the bottom of your blog post, your call to actions. There's so many ways that you can make your site more intelligent, even if your guests are anonymous.